Good morning, good evening, and a very good day. Have you ever struggled with trying to find your identity as a man, a son, or a father? Well, I'm going to try and take some time to explain my story and see if it possibly resonates with yours. I'm Dan, and today I'm going to talk you through my journey. I'm going to share with you a bit about my faith, how I found some of my identity in Christ, and figure out how we can better discover who we are as a man, a son, a father. It's not easy, it's not fun sometimes, but I believe it's extremely important and very fruitful. Like I said in the beginning, my name's Dan, and I'm a 38-year-old man living in the Midwest. I've been raised in a family that went to church. I was raised going to school at one of the better, quote unquote, schools in the area. I didn't want for anything. I certainly didn't need for anything while I was growing up. My family wasn't rich, but we certainly weren't poor. Church on Sundays was always a fun go sing, stand with my parents and my sisters, but it never became a thing. In fact, in high school, I drifted away from the church. My family had changed churches and I had drifted away. And when college hit, I drifted even farther. I can't ever say that I had given my life to Christ as a child, but I knew who God was. Then, as I got out of college and I met my now ex-wife, the woman that I married, had 3 kids with, the only way that I could actually date her and get to know her better was by going to church. I had to build some sort of a relationship with Christ because her parents were both pastors, and it started a foundational relationship with Christ for me. It's probably the second most influential time of my relationship with Christ. During that period of time, I had 3 kids, had a career, and I grew to have an understanding of what it meant to be a father, to be a husband, to be a son, but in regards to a lot of worldly values. I saw success with dollar signs. I saw my relationships with smiles. And if somebody wasn't happy, it meant that I was failing. If somebody didn't have what they wanted, it meant that I was failing. And my only answer was to work more and provide financially more. It's what I saw as I was growing up. Since then, the last 3 to 4 years have been chaotic in some ways, but a humongous blessing in others. My now ex-wife and I separated almost 4 years ago, divorced almost 2 years ago, and we now are mostly successfully raising 3 wonderful children together, but separately. Learning and going through that process has made me rely on Christ and figure out who I am all over again. I've lost jobs in the last 3 years, 3 of them, actually. I lost my relationship. I lost the home that I had bought and built. I lost businesses that I had built. And at a certain point, I started questioning if my name was really Job. It felt like everything was being taken away from me. And it wasn't until I started getting good mentorship, it wasn't until I started diving into the Word, and it wasn't until I shifted my focus to God and God alone that I was able to start seeing my life differently. My life isn't the dollar signs that I earn. My life isn't the job that I hold. My life isn't just my relationship with my kids or the romantic relationship with my then wife. My life is so much more and so much simpler than that. Now, living in a place where I've began the process of healing those things and I've began the process of leaning completely on Christ, I can say that my life has turned around. I'm not in as good of a spot financially. I'm not in as good of a spot as a career. However, the work I'm doing is fulfilling. The money that I do have goes to meaningful and fulfilling things. I'm providing for my kids in a different way than I ever did before. And I'm providing for friends and family members in ways that I just never even understood or could before. It's really hard to just trust God. It's really hard to understand who you are in that makeup. And the most difficult part for me has actually been what has been placed on me by those around us, by our parents, by our friends, by our peers, even when we get married, by our spouses, and then when we get divorced, or if we get divorced, the expectations, the rules, the roles all seem to shift. The only one that never does is your relationship with God. And I think there's an amazing amount of beauty in that. He's our Father. And to be honest, I didn't know if I'd be able to talk about this without having tears come to my eyes. The first time that I sat down and actually thought about, prayed about, journaled about, wrote letters about who I was to God and how God sees me, it really broke me. To all the men watching right now, you are his son. No matter the worldly father that you have, no matter the worldly father figures that you have, you are God's son. And Jesus Christ wants to come and walk right alongside of you. There are so many things to learn in this journey as you get closer to Christ, as you build your relationship with God. And I hope that in the coming videos, I'll be able to share more and more of my experience, and I'll be able to give you tips, tricks, maybe start creating some new habits and some new ways of looking at it. I would love it if you watch this video, if you could share with me down below your struggles with your faith, your struggles with your identity in Christ. Who do you think you are? What comes to mind when you think about what matters and who you are to yourself? I can tell you that the biggest blows I took were losing my kids half of the time and losing the title of husband. I placed so much of my worth in those two, but it actually pales in comparison to the one that I placed as an employee. My career, my job, the thing that I did for a living was where I found all of my worth. It's where I found all of my value, all of my purpose. And I had lost sight of what God meant, even in any of those things. There is such an amazing power and beauty in just fully accepting yourself as a child of God. No matter what's going on around you, no matter the expectations of the world, or friends or family, any kind of other label that you would put on yourself, and just basking in the love of our Father. So I hope you'll join me. I hope you'll stick around, like, share, comment, all that stuff. And let's get better a little bit every day so we can do a little bit better, so we can be better, moment by moment. Thanks.